Well, hello. Since it is the middle of September, it is officially fall in my mind, and it has been for quite a while because on August 21st, Starbucks launched pumpkin spice lattes, which if you are a basic white girl like me, that is a national holiday. But unfortunately, for those of us who love pumpkin spice lattes are like $7 or $8 if you get a medium. I actually don't really like the pumpkin spice lattes from Starbucks, but maybe it's because I used to work there and it brings back some PTSD trauma.
Please pull forward.
But I am a pumpkin girly. I do fancy myself a pumpkin drink, but I do not fancy $7 or $8, which it still is even at my own favorite coffee place, Dutch Bros. I love you, Dutch Bros, but my wallet doesn't. Now, if you ask any finance bro or millionaire or CEO, they'll just say, hey, all you gotta do to save money to survive in this economy is just don't buy your morning coffee. But unfortunately, if we were to do that, I'm pretty sure there would be riots for those of us who rely upon caffeine in the morning to survive. And why would you want to take away our one bit of happiness? So to counteract that in very on-brand fashion, we are actually going to DIY it in order to save money. So today we are making pumpkin spice latte sauce or pumpkin spice syrup or whatever you want to call it. Now, I have never done this, full disclosure. If you think this is a tutorial, I got my recipe off of Google. But if you want to make it with me and hang out and have some laughs, let's do this thing. So the first thing you're going to need to do is find a recipe that you like. And then the second step, once you find your recipe, is going to be scrolling past the recipe writer's life story that they decided was relevant to tell you about their childhood in Nantucket, how their grandmother inspired this recipe and their childhood dog, until you finally get to the ingredients and the steps to actually put this thing together. So because I am trying to emulate a cook person, I have actually laid out all of my ingredients on the counter, very professional. I even did the individual bowls. And also I had to thaw out my pumpkin spice puree because I had some left over from a thing that I baked, and my refrigerator is a little bit too overzealous, a little bit of an overachiever, and it froze it. But if you're wondering where I got my pumpkin puree, Trader Joe's. This video is not sponsored by Trader Joe's, but it should be with the amount of times I'm going to mention Trader Joe's in today's video, because we are also using Trader Joe's pumpkin spice, pumpkin pie, I can speak, seasoning. But if you don't have that, all you gotta do is mix up your own little thing of cinnamon, nutmeg, cloves, maybe a little bit of ginger and allspice, and you're good to go. So, is to assemble the ingredients into a saucepan, preferably one that has not been scratched up by your household, so it will not dose you with forever chemicals. I'm pretty unsure about this one, but what I don't know won't kill me. So first I'm going to add the water, and this recipe will be linked in the description, and you can actually go between US measurements and whatever the other world's measurements. We get a lot of crap in the US for our measurement system for some reason, so.
What is that?
Oh, this is sugar. It's sugar, and this is also sugar. We've got the brown variety and the white variety, so it's an interracial couple.
Hey, it's like you and me.
We're going to mix, get all the clumpies out, because if you're like me, your brown sugar has been sitting in your pantry for more than the time that it's probably supposed to be in there. It just adds a little extra texture, you know. And then I'm going to add my pumpkin pie puree. It looks really sus, but that's just because it's thawed out. And then next, we are going to add our sweetened condensed milk. We're just gonna add the whole can because the recipe calls for 14 ounces. So just put all of that in there. And if you are lactose intolerant like me, may the odds ever be in your favor. You know what, it's worth it. After we get that all mixy mix. Also, maybe don't use the big electric stove. Don't burn yourself. Next, we're going to add our spices. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Oh Lord.
So it also calls for 1/4 teaspoon of salt and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Just everything splishin' splooshin' everywhere. And so we're gonna let this simmer for however long the instructions say. I think it's like 2 minutes, just so all the ingredients can like mishmoosh together and become one happy family. And you might be saying, hey, I go to Starbucks for the convenience. I don't have time to do all of this. And sure, this takes a little bit of prep. But once you get this done and you put it in your fridge, you have it for however long you're supposed to store that, and you can make pumpkin spice lattes every day. And it will not be $8 or $9 or $7 or $8. There's another option as well if you are super lazy. You can also get, I think it's called Torani. They make their own pumpkin spice sauce, and I think it's like $7 or $8 for a whole entire thingy of pumpkin spice sauce. And another thing that might come up is I don't have time to make my coffee in the morning. That's why I go to Starbucks. Well, babe, if you have time to sit in a drive-thru during rush, then you have time. Oh, my light just died. Then you have time to spend 2 minutes making coffee. And if you are especially short on time, there is a thing called instant coffee. Now, I know that my husband's Cuban ancestors, as well as my Italian ancestors, are currently rolling around in their grave.
You disrespect me. You disrespect my family.
But it is 2023. Science has not perfected, but has at least made it to where instant coffee isn't that bad. And also, we are broke and we are strapped for time. Sometimes you gotta make your sacrifices. And also, once you put copious amounts of cream and sugar and flavor in this, can't tell much of a difference. You're drinking pumpkin spice lattes. Are you really that much of a picky? That's up.
Are you gonna be picky?
Yeah, I was gonna say picky, but I was trying to think of another word. I didn't write a script for this. Let me get my little wooden spoon. I might let it simmer a little bit longer because I know you want to make sure all of the flavors marry one another. And sometimes with pumpkin pie puree, it can taste a little squashy, but I know that when you cook pumpkin, it kind of cooks off that squashy, earthy flavor. So we're gonna let that simmer a little bit longer. It's on low. Now, another thing. The dog has stolen the show. Another thing that people are bound to say is, but I have to go to Starbucks because where else am I gonna get my pumpkin scone or my pumpkin cream cheese muffin? Well, I have news for you. You don't need to go to Starbucks for that. In fact, it is better for you to not go to Starbucks for that because it is incredibly expensive to just buy one pastry. Again, I'm going to mention my love, Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's every year comes out with a plethora of pumpkin spice and fall inspired goodies. And they are amazing, and not only are they amazing, they are also cheap. In fact, we are now on the Trader Joe's bandwagon. We previously thought it was a bougie or fancy store, but we discovered that we can go in there and get a week's worth of dinners and lunches and snackies and goodies and not break $100. I guess they haven't really raised their prices for their in-house brand, so we are going there more regularly. And let me show you some stuff. Well, first of all, this is what I have on hand. So if you like the sugar cookies from Starbucks, like this is like what, $2, was it?
Yeah,
honey?
it was like $2 or $3.
It was like $2 or $3 for this big box of cookies. And I didn't see them this time, but I have seen pumpkin cream cheese muffins, and there was like a pumpkin cinnamon swirl bread. There's lots of baked goodies and delicious things that you can put in your pantry, put in your fridge, and have ready for you in the morning to take with you to work. And guess what? For the price that you would spend on one scone or one muffin at Starbucks, you have a whole pack for the whole week. You're welcome. Subscribe for financial advice. All right, let's give her a nice little taste test-a-rooney. I spilled. That's pretty good. We're gonna take that off the heat. This is another thing that I really like during the fall time. Now, you don't have to get this specific brand, but they sell these at Costco a lot of times, and there are several mixes in here. You can use these for pancakes, waffles, but my favorite is to make them into muffins, and they make the perfect pumpkin muffins. And if you want it to be like Starbucks's pumpkin cream cheese muffins, all you gotta do is after they're done baking, take a little spoon or like a scooper, like maybe one of these like round, you know, scoopers, and just take out a little bit from the top and put some cream cheese frosting in the little hole. Got yourself some pumpkin cream cheese muffins. And you can make pumpkin loaf as well if you're basic. So now let's make our lattes. First, we need our milk. I'm choosing lactose free because I gotta, and I am not fancy. As you can see, we don't have an espresso maker or a milk frother. So in the microwave she goes. And then while we wait for that to steam, get my favorite mug. I'm going to find a spoon of some sort. Going to divvy out some of the flavor. I have no idea how to measure this, but we're just gonna, that should be enough, right? And then we are going to pretend that we are fancy baristas. We're going to pour our heated milk into a milk steaming jug that I thrifted. And we're going to use one of these bad boys to froth the milk. Next, because I am sacrilegious, I'm going to use my instant coffee, and I'm using decaf because for some strange reason, if I consume caffeine after 12 p.m., I stay awake for 40 hours straight. So it's all fine up until noon though. It's like the carriage turns into the pumpkin after that. Doop, doop. Give me my spoon back, you heathen. Technically, this is a cafe misto because this is coffee and milk. And then we're gonna do the thing where you pour the milk, you hold back the foam, and then and I kept this out to be fancy.
What? No smiley face?
I'm not that skilled. I think I might add a little bit more flavor. What am I doing? That's like...
Yeah, hold on, let me get you another spoon. What the heck?
It's hot in here, by the way. I'm dying. We're just gonna add a little bit more because we're sluts for pumpkin. Oh yeah, it's like just enough pumpkin.
I do require a taste after this. It's the cameraman fee.
That's good. Now, before you store it, you definitely want to let it completely cool off because we don't want an accident in the fridge, kids. But in order to store it, you can either be super fancy and put it in a squeeze bottle, or if you're like me and you are white trash, you can use an old spaghetti sauce bottle or an old gelato bottle to store whatever you have left. So there you have it, kids. That is how you make a pumpkin spice latte without breaking your wallet, which is probably already broken, let's be honest. Now, if you want to get really fancy with it, you could add whipped cream and caramel drizzle and other toppings. However, newsflash, you don't have to get that at Starbucks either. If you're thinking, well, I get my drink because they add extra stuff to it. You can get that at the grocery store too. Just get yourself some Ready Whip, Smuckers, or I think even Tarani has some caramel drizzle. You're good to go, kid. You're good to go. So thank you guys so much for joining me on this we're all broke, but we still want some happiness in our lives journey. And hope you guys have a wonderful fall. Make good decisions and don't give your money to the siren. And I'm not just saying that because I used to work there and I hated it. Bye.